Welcome to the Futurist Public Intellectual. Particularly since the COVID pandemic, higher education has become obsessed with test optional admissions. They justify this change by saying that they're trying to address social inequality by providing more opportunities to poor students who can't afford test prep courses and tutors, implying that the problem is the admission test. On February 5th, 2024, Dartmouth College bucked the trend and reinstated the admission test requirement for the next application cycle, becoming the first Ivy League university to do so since the pandemic era's wholesale dropping of the test requirement by most colleges and universities. Along with MIT, Dartmouth has concluded that standardized tests actually assist in identifying promising students. Although these institutions claim that their reversions are backed by research, it's plainly obvious that standardized tests have a rightful place in admissions. Let's first be clear about our definitions. Higher education is a stage in one's life. It's not a social program. Anyone who thinks that colleges are supposed to help the disadvantaged are probably the same people who think the Supreme Court is supposed to help the powerless. Academia cannot perform at its best if it is populated by incompetents. Standardized admission tests are the only way to objectively assess thousands of applicants who come from a wide spectrum of backgrounds. People who argue for the abolishment of admission tests are people who do not believe in objectivity. They would rather have college students be selected on the basis of essays, recommendation letters, and high school GPAs, all of which have the potential to be rigged in favor of the wealthy and make selecting students an exercise in arbitrariness. Furthermore, admission tests like the SAT and ACT do exactly what they were created to do: predict college academic performance. Opportunity Insights, a nonprofit research organization at Harvard, found that admission test scores were directly correlated with students' eventual college GPAs. More importantly, when students from different socioeconomic backgrounds had similar test scores, they ended up with similar college GPAs, dispelling the notion that these tests are biased in favor of the wealthy. The irony is that the SAT and ACT help disadvantaged students. It's just that they only help the smarter ones. People forget that rich parents produce dumb children and poor parents produce smart children. This is a fundamental premise of Plato's Republic. While rich parents certainly can buy prep courses and tutoring for their children's test scores will only be higher on average than poor parents' children. An individual poor kid can outperform a rich kid simply because the poor kid is smarter or works harder. In the end, people are getting too caught up in the details. Since higher education is not a social program and has a purpose greater than conferring social mobility, as long as the brightest poor students are getting a college education, there isn't some sort of looming catastrophe. Only 37% of Americans have a bachelor's degree, and the percentage has been more or less the same for decades. The majority of Americans don't have a college education, don't need a college education, and life is not only about educational attainment or career advancement. Thank you for listening to the Futurist Public Intellectual.